Welcome to the 5-3 Zone. Your hosts today are Ryan Kelly and Tony Dagonia. The 5-3 Zone is brought to you from the 5-3 Zone Studios in Austin, Texas. Now, your hosts.
Hi, this is Tony Dagonia, co-host of the 5-3 Zone podcast. The 5-3 Zone podcast is a weekly podcast put on by myself and co-host Ryan Kelly. Yes, it is true. We do both work for Alien Vault. He's a solution architect there, and I'm a sales engineer. We both work with the sales team, and we have a lot of fun. But what that means is that we've both been exposed to defensive security for quite some time. Ryan is a pretty accomplished hacker in his own right. I am still learning a lot of the tricks of the trade, if you will, but I am an aggressive learner. And so what I want to do is take you through some of the things that I have learned as of late, primarily through self-teaching, and essentially a lot of reading. So what we're going to do today is we're going to have a presentation on hacking WordPress, and this will be basics for penetration testing on WordPress. So we're not going to get into anything too terribly advanced, but I'm going to show you how to set up this lab environment that I have within my MacBook Pro, and so you guys can recreate the lab environment and recreate the demonstration itself. And so we'll go through a number of commands for this, and I'll teach you kind of how to get around Kali Linux and a few other things. So first things first, I created this lab environment with the basis being VMware's Fusion application, which is a virtual machine indexer, basically, so you can actually download pre-built OVA files or OVF files for VMware. Pretty much wherever they're built, you can export them, and then you can open them up in this particular player, and they'll run just like a full machine. So I downloaded Kali Linux from the Kali Linux download page on, I believe it's on kali.org/downloads. And then I also went and downloaded a version of WordPress, the latest version of WordPress from the Bitnami website. They have a pre-boxed version of WordPress that it's a pretty easy download. It's one of their stacks that they have configured, and it comes with all the instructions on how to set it up. It comes in an OVF file as well. So you just basically import it into the VMware library and power it on, and you're good to go. So we'll go ahead and do that now, and then we'll take a look at a few other things. So I'm going to power on the Bitnami WordPress right now. So just double click on it, and she's off to the races. There we go. So now next we'll power up Kali Linux, and this will be up and running here in a second. This does come with some default username and password, so it's really simple to use, and I really like the interface on Kali Linux. So what I'm going to do to save some space here, I'm just going to drag this onto my second screen, and so you guys won't have to see that again. So we do have root level access on Kali Linux, and like I said, they provide some pre-configured accounts on here, and we fire this thing up, and there we go. We've got our desktop. So like I said, it runs pretty quick. It's running on, I think, 1 core, and I think I upped it to 4 gigs of RAM. I've got 16 gigs in this particular machine, so we're good to go there. It's a really simple deal. The other thing that I use is WordPress Scan, or WP Scan, which you can find at wpscan.org. And it's a nice piece of software that accompanies the penetration testing softwares that are pre-built into Kali Linux. Kali comes with the Metasploit framework built in, and the WordPress scan is built into to the Metasploit framework. So you don't necessarily need to go to wpscan.org and download it. It's already built into Kali Linux. However, it is good to know, where to find it in case you want to download it for something else. Or they do have a number of commands built in or over there on the page that you can utilize during your testing process. I actually use those to get started. Went through this a number of times, and then basically just started experimenting with WP Scan to find what commands worked for me and got the results that I wanted. So we're going to minimize this just a little bit here and take a look at some things. Oh, we maximized. Sorry. Let's see here. I always hate it when this does this. This thing does not like to play nice. So hit escape, and we'll minimize that a little bit, or at least make it smaller. So now when you take a look at your bitnami and it fires up, you're going to see the website right here, the IP address for the website. That's all configured and ready to go. And you could actually log in here and take a look at a few things. This is also going to give you your username and password for this particular box. And so I like to make note of it, write it down, and then we've got everything we need to know. Now I have done some configuration on this box already, so that it's not default in any way, shape, or form. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this piece, because it's just the CLI or the command line interface, and I'm going to drop it over here on my second screen. What we will get here that's interesting, though, we'll go ahead and fire up the website and just take a look at it. And so we've got some stuff going. Let's just make sure the website works. And there we go. I did go ahead and do some customization to the website because, as well as being a InfoSec cybersecurity guy, just a real or someone who really pursues knowledge in that area, as well as I make money that way. I'm also a degreed web designer, which I went to college way back in the day before things were the way they are now, which is really pretty cool. So we're going to take this and we'll set it over on the other screen as well, just to make it nice and clean. And then we're going to fire up Kali Linux here, because this is the fun stuff. So real simple to get started. Just open up a terminal, and we'll make this terminal screen a little bit bigger because you're going to want to see this and actually be able to see what's going on. So we'll fire this up and get this rolling here. And so there's a couple of things you need to know. You're at the root level. And so you can run all of your commands from right here. You really don't have to change directories or anything else. The first thing that we do is we're going to run an update. And the reason we're going to run this update is to ensure we have all the latest definitions for vulnerabilities and things like that that are programmed and designed, specifically for WP Scan. And basically, what happens is it's an open source network, and so you have all these coders that are out there rewriting code and searching for vulnerabilities within all the different plugins at WordPress, and so they submit these vulnerabilities. Once they're approved at WP Scan, then they are. At WP Scan, then they submit these into the latest updates, and once we hit enter, we'll run an update here, and pretty small update, only took a few seconds. And so we've got everything we need right here. So the next command we're going to run is real simple. We're going to do a real basic scan on the website, and this would be part of, so let's say we were looking at the cyber kill chain in this. This would be part of the first step. It would be, recon, basically going out and finding out what's going on with the environment we're wanting to launch an attack on. So we'll do a WP scan -- and URL. Oh, sorry about that. 192.168.1.86, and the command is that simple. So we'll let this run for a second, and then I'll go over the results that we got back. -admin-ajax.php, and this was found through aggressive detection. So essentially, if you wanted to run some sort of Ajax exploit or something to that effect, you would actually know the links to that. And then we see our XML RPC PHP page, which is important. Please keep that in mind because we're going to cover that a little bit later when we start doing some brute force attacks. So we see here that we found that through direct access with aggressive detection, and we're 100% confident it is what it is, and this based on these different scanners that were provided by Rapid7. Okay, so we found a README page. We found the version of WordPress, which is 5.0.3, and that was actually detected through the RSS generator. And then we've got some page feeds here where you can actually go and look these things up, and we see the actual URLs to those feeds in the site that the victim site we're going after. So we found the WordPress theme is Tazvir, which is a WordPress theme I downloaded and installed. Really pretty simple. So we see our readme.txt for the theme, which is good to know because sometimes there's information in there that you could actually use. So you could click on this and actually pull that readme file up and take a look at it. It's just a text file. So we see our style sheets. There are some style sheet exploits, things like that you could run. And then we see the manufacturer of the theme or the designer of the theme. We see just basic information, descriptions, who the author was, and essentially where you could find the author for this theme. And so this was detected by CSS style through passive detection. It's running CSS 2.0. Another thing that's important to know. So I would be writing all these things down as I were looking through this, so I would have some quick notes right there. And so here's some more information covering that. You'd actually click on that and see the style sheet and everything right there. So now we're going to go into enumerating all plugins. And for those of you who don't know what enumerating is, essentially it is instead of them just giving us a list of plugins, it's actually going to dig down and take a look at locations and versions and updates and things like that. And so that's going to give us some good information as well. So we see our all-in-one SEO pack. Here's the link to that latest version, latest update. It's got some comments. There's version 2.10.1. It's detected by comment. Here's the links. And then here's a link to the actual plugin README. Another thing that's great to know, those README files, they generally contain quite a bit of information about the coding within the page or within the plugin itself. So the next thing, contact form 7, a lot of information as well. And I'm not going to read everything on every one of these. I just wanted to cover a few of them to let you know kind of what I would be looking for here. Now, here's an interesting one, Google Analytics for WordPress. This version is out of date, so the latest version is 7.4.1. This particular version is running 7.3.2. So we could actually go and look up if there were any exploits there and how to take advantage of those. And if there were any exploits that matched anything in the database, there would actually be I believe it's a red exclamation point that would tell us what that exploit was. Java JS Composer, a few things there. It's up to date, looks good. The newsletter plugin, and it seems to be up to date. The newsletter plugin's interesting because it actually opens up mail ports and utilizes those mail ports, based on either IMAP or POP3, Post Office Protocol 3 or POP3. So you could actually maybe even exploit one of those ports as well. We see that we don't have any backups on this, which is true. It's just running on a container on my PC. And so we see we've got finished, took 60 requests to gather all that information, and we've got 73.73 megabytes, and it took us about 13 seconds to gather all that information. So really, really, really fast response on that. So the next thing we're going to look at is actually we're going to run a plugins list. And so one of the great things about this telnet or terminal session is that you can actually go in here and just simply use the up arrow key to go back to the last command. So we go in here and paste this, and we'll run it. And so we're going to gather all that plugin information again. And so we're going to get all those similar details, but without necessarily going through all the other stuff, right? So we're just going to go straight to pretty much to the plugins and roll from there. The next thing we'll do is we'll poke around in the themes, right? So very similar command. So I'm going to do that up arrow key here. And we'll do another up arrow key to go to the command prior to that. And oops, you have to actually paste by clicking and then right clicking with PCs, or double finger tap if you're using Mac with the Magic Pad, which I'm currently using. And you click paste there, and then we'll roll right through this. And we're going to see, once again, we'll see a lot of the plugins, but it's going to go into a little bit greater detail on a few things. We'll see here, essentially, it's enumerated pretty much the same thing that it enumerated with the original command we put in. So we're not gonna waste a lot more time there. Now, what I do want to show you here, though, is there's actually an enumeration command that will take a much deeper dive into the WordPress site. So we'll go up 3, do a space, control. Doggone it, I get stuck on that every time. I'm sorry, folks. So we'll just paste that in there. Looks like we got one too many spaces there, so let's back that up. And we'll take one of those spaces out because that will actually mess up our command. And we'll hit enter. And we're going to see some hardcore enumeration there. The upside is that you'll get a lot more information. The downside is that it's going to go through a lot of the same stuff and enumerate it in more detail. But this is a very simple command to run. So, if you want to run it, then you're going to get a lot of information without a lot of keystrokes. So that's important to understand. All right, so we've got some good results here, and so we'll take a look at this. We're going to scroll back to the top and just kind of go over what we found. Now, something to understand, We did enumerate this based on just basically getting the user list. So we were looking for a few things. We got all the same information we got earlier. We got all the WordPress versioning information. We got vulnerable plugins. There were no vulnerable plugins found. So it's enumerating not necessarily all the plugins, but the ones that have known vulnerabilities based on the database. So we looked at the 10 thumbs. We looked at the config backups, database exports, media. So there was nothing really there just to speak of. And then we started enumerating users. And so just through this process, we were able to find 2 users, and they were user and Tony D, which is my login account within that website. And so it basically took 3 minutes and 15 seconds, and we had 3,034 requests and 187 megabytes of memory used. Now, this is some pretty good information, but it's still not as detailed as we could get. I think we could get a bit deeper into this, and so we will actually run this a little bit here, and I've got another command we're going to run that will give us maybe a little more detailed information. Let's run it and see. So essentially what we're going to do, I'm copying and pasting this command over here on the other screen while I'm talking to you. I know I'm giving away all my secrets, right? So we'll go here and we'll up arrow and up arrow again and up arrow one more time and the third time, and there you go. So from here, we'll actually just paste in the back half of this command. And so now we're going to enumerate usernames. And why did we get a missing argument? Well, it's real simple. When you look in the help files, there's another piece to this that you have to add. It's called list, right? And list is the command to actually tell it how to feed back the results to you. So we'll go dig into this once we put list in, and we'll let this run. It's going to probably take a couple of 2 or 3 minutes. So I'm going to go radio silent while this runs, and we'll catch you guys back in just a second. All right, so we've got some results here, and let's take a look at this. It basically gave us all the same information that we got from the previous command. So we'll just look through here. It's some pretty basic information. You don't necessarily need a ton of stuff. And so we see 3,057 commands, 182 meg. There was some passive and some aggressive detection. We used one to gather information, one to double check it, and we got the same users back on that deal. So, this is pretty much what you need to know. Now, I've showed you several commands, and really you don't need to run every one of those commands just to get the basic information that we're looking for. You could actually run this command, the username list, without enumeration, and it should go substantially faster. So we'll run that command right quick. Just take a look at it. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. So unfortunately, it doesn't look like we got the same information. So we only did 22 connections. So in order to enumerate those usernames or define those usernames, we actually do need to do enumeration. So it's interesting how that works, isn't it? So let's try users list without enumeration. Just kind of see what we get back on that. So going through a lot faster. Once again, still no usernames. So as you can see, it is important that you enumerate, which causes that deeper dive into the website to find those usernames. So with that being said, this is what we need to do. So now the next part that we're going to do is we're actually going to take a look at some other commands for a brute force attack. So what I want to do here is I'm going to actually put a command in and then show you a couple of things that you need to do. So we'll go ahead and put this, I'm going to copy and paste the command, and we'll copy and paste this in here. So we see we've got a fairly long command. So essentially what we're going to do is we're going to go against the URL 192.168.1.86. We're going to enumerate, and we're going to enumerate users. The next command after that says we're going to do a WordPress attack against WP login, and we're going to run that against the username tdegonia, which is not going to work because there's not a user in there called tdegonia. So let's change that, and we'll actually make that Tony D, because that is what the username is. Now, from here, we're going to back this up, and we're going to drop a file in here for our passwords list. So if you go out to the web, you can search for password lists or password dictionaries all over the web and find tons and tons and tons of them. But the one we're going to use is actually called Password Dictionary. And it's, I think I've got roughly about 2,500, somewhere between 2,500 and 4,000 passwords in there that are, known passwords that have been stolen on the web, things like that. So I'm not actually stealing anything. I'm just downloading this for testing purposes. And so there's one that I downloaded. It's actually, I believe it's this file, which I got from CrackStation, and it's human only, and it comes in a text file, and it's encrypted. And so I was, once I unencrypted that, it was actually like 650 megabytes, which takes forever just to open up. I mean, 650 meg text file, extremely large. But once you get it open and you drop it in, it takes like an hour to run through all of those passwords. So we're not going to do that for this particular practice. What we're going to do is we're going to use a password list that I built off of that. And so we've got a ton of passwords in here, 4,000 or 5,000 of them. And we'll just drop that in and take a look at it. One of the cool things I like about Kali Linux is I don't necessarily have to go and find the exact URL to this file. I can actually just take that file and drop it in here, and it's going to put the exact URL in place for me. So I just want to check these spaces. So we're good to go there. And so now we'll run this with enumeration, and it's going to take a second because it's going to go through that whole process of enumerating everything on the plugins and the themes and everything like that. So once we get some results, I'll hop back on and we'll take a look at those, and then we'll finish up our presentation. Okay, so here's where the fun stuff starts. We're actually seeing the password attack performed here, and we've got a number of passwords being ran against the tdegonia login, and so we'll let this run for just a second and see where we go. All right, very interesting result there. So we were able to get a password for Tony D. And so now we could take that password right there and actually go log in to the website as long as we could get to everything we needed to get to. So we're seeing that this is performing a password attack on the XML RPC. So this is essentially, it's a request from an XML file to access the website. Because for some reason it couldn't get to the WP login, wp-login.php page. And I'll tell you why we couldn't do that in just a minute, but let's run this again, and we're going to go ahead and put 2 usernames in here. So we'll put in comma user, and we've got everything else in there that we need. So we'll just let this run, and you should see that it runs through pretty quickly, and I'll hop right back on as soon as I see it getting to a point where we want to talk about it some more. So as you can see, it runs through those passwords very, very quickly, and so to find those, manually would probably take a very, very long time to do. But we're able to actually decipher those passwords pretty quickly. So, next question, where do we go from here? Well, we've got 2 usernames and 2 passwords, which I already have, and I have them documented on my text file, obviously. So what we're going to do now, there's not a whole lot more we need to do with WP Scan. So we can, take a look at this and just basically commit it to memory. This is a pretty long string of commands, but very effective, as you can see. So you could actually literally have a good deal of information based on this with 2 commands, essentially. So you could run WP Scan, the IP address, and then enumerate and user list, and then you would essentially find all the usernames that are associated with a given website. Now, there are some plugins that are designed to make it difficult to do some of this stuff. I did some testing against WordFence, and honestly was not terribly impressed with the level of security it provided at the free version. I have not done any testing at the paid version, which it may actually close up that RPC, XML RPC that we're utilizing to perform this attack. But one that I did use that you'll see in just a minute works very, very well, which caused us to have to utilize the XML RPC, is WPS hide login. So let's go here and see if we have good passwords right quick. So we'll pop in here, and we'll just take a quick look at 192.168.1.86, and we'll see that the website comes right up. And oops, move the whole thing. Just meant to move this part. All right, victim site. Get ready to get your hack on. Okay, so you got your hack on. Now let's go here to WP-admin, which is just the link that you use to get to the administrative page. And we find that we have a 404 error. So that would explain why we needed that XML RPC. So explains a whole lot right there. So I do have the actual extension, the page, and that page is, drum roll somebody, that page is actually 192.168.1.86 / pwned. I gotta get back over here. Pwned, PWNED -login, and we will click on that, and golly gosh, look what we've got. We've got a login page. Good stuff here. So I will go in here and we'll pull down this username. I've got this documented over here. And so we'll do a copy and a paste. And we'll copy and paste this password as well, so we can do this and get logged in. All right, just 1 second here, folks. Okay, so we've got the username and password obviously right here. So we utilize that. And then I've already copied and pasted that into there. And then we'll log in. We'll go ahead and save this to our browser just because we want to make it easier for later down the road. So we've gotten in, and now we can go and verify all the stuff that WP Scan found for us. So we'll go take a look at our plugins here. We do see we've got a number of plugins that are out of date on some different things. And we see this WPS hide login, and it actually hides the login page. So I'm going to deactivate that just simply because, this is a malicious attack. It's an attack on my own website, so it's perfectly legal, but it just makes things interesting, kind of fun. So we could go in here and do any number of things and take a look at the pages. We could make changes to the pages, stuff like that, right? So we'll open up another browser window here, and we'll open the website again, and we'll see a number of things here. We did change some text in a previous session. Basically changed it to your website's been hacked. Please refer to the owner's manual and contact the hacker and pay him $1 million to get your website back. All right, just a little fun stuff there. So, I hope that this was informative for you and, a little bit of fun along the way. Feel free to go ahead and leave me a comment in the comments below or in the sections below. Hit like, hit the subscribe button, because we're going to have an entire series of hacking WordPress podcasts here, which we'll dig into some database injection. We're going to, get into some more refined command line stuff, with WP Scan. And so we're really going to take this as far as we can go with it, just to make it as efficient as possible and, have a little bit of fun along the way. So with the information I've shared with you today, you could do some pretty basic penetration testing on your website to ensure that you've at least got, some idea of where your security's out on the website and, kind of beef that up a little bit. So I definitely encourage you, if you're going to run this, lab and test things out that way, download all the plugins that you can download and go nuts and play with them and see what stops you or what stops WP Scan. The only thing that slows you down in the world of IT is security, both white hat and black hat, is imagination and creativity. So I highly encourage that along the way. Remember, what we're doing here is definitely illegal to do against someone else's site. So I don't recommend doing that. It is a federal offense as well. So you have to be very, very careful there to not get yourself in trouble. But, if someone hires you, you learn how to do this, you get good at it, and someone hires you to pen test their site, then you can make a little bit of money at it. If not, it's just something fun to learn, and it gives you an idea of what a hacker actually does to access a website like this. So I highly recommend, like I said, have some fun with it, go nuts, build up your own website, blow it up, start over. That's what I've done over the past month or so. and just really learned a lot about this. And as I continue to learn more, I'll continue to make new videos to share what I'm learning with everyone. And so with that, I want to bid you a good day. Thank you for joining me for this podcast, and I hope you enjoyed it. Once again, hit like, hit subscribe, leave me a comment. If you have any questions, leave it in the comment section, and I will reply just as quickly as I possibly can. And so you guys have a great day, and we look forward to seeing you at the next podcast. All right? Have a great day. Bye-bye.
So how are things? Family good?
Yeah, they're doing well.
Well, hey, we missed you at the game last week. Is everything all right?
I just haven't been feeling like me lately.
Hey, you know I'm here for you, right? And there's support too.
That's a cut. Beautiful, fellas. Beautiful. Acting is one thing. Talking about suicide in real life is another.
In the military, you take challenges head on.
And now it's your turn to do the same for our veterans.
Be there for someone you care about.
Learn how you can start the conversation at BeThereForVeterans.com.
This concludes the show today. We are glad you joined us. You can find the show on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and of course, on the Cyber Simplified website at www.cybersimplified.com. Thanks for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you soon.